Hi, thanks for being here. Thanks for stopping in. This is going to be a standalone video this time. I don't know how far I'm going to get this week in the forecast like I did last week. I had a full forecast for the week, but there are so many events happening this week that I'm kind of making a video for each one. We have Mercury going retrograde in Cancer. We have Mr. Jupiter going into Leo. We have the full moon, which is what this video is going to be about, the full moon in Capricorn. Before I get started, I want to say these are my interpretations that I'm sharing. They're not going to be true for everybody, but if it's true for you, maybe you'll feel a little less alone. I only say that because whenever I experience something that's kind of intangible and I find something or someone on YouTube that is aligning with that, like whatever is within, I feel a lot less alone. So if something resonates, I hope, I don't know, it kind of sounds egoic, doesn't it? I hope you feel less alone. I don't know. Take what you will, discard the rest. On the opposite of that same coin, you can toss this like garbage if it if it doesn't resonate, okay? So full moon is coming up on the 20, no, is it? No, wait, there it is. Full moon in Capricorn, June 29th at 4:55 p.m. whereabouts, my time, which is Pacific Standard Time. So I wanted to talk about the themes that I was picking up. I was tapping in. A lot of this is intuitive for me. I'll look at the chart and stuff will pop in. So take that with a grain of salt. So Capricorn full moon. The full moon is always an opposition in astrology. It's two planets that are directly across from one another. That's an opposition. We have the sun and the moon on opposite sides of the wheel. And an opposition represents two planets that are trying to bring something out, but it's doing it in a way that needs to be balanced. It's a little similar to the in conjunction. The in conjunction is when two planets are sort of opposing, like visually, but it's an awkward angle. And an in conjunction represents a major struggle to balance what the planets represent in their individual sense. So I think an in conjunction feels almost impossible to integrate, but in opposition, it's more doable. You have to listen to both sides and find a balance. With this full moon in Capricorn, sun is in Cancer, moon is in Capricorn. The moon is in the sign that is opposite of what it rules. The moon rules Cancer naturally, but it's in Capricorn. So I took this to be, well, first I want to describe the imagery that I got. I think it could be a good jumping off point. This is metaphorical and symbolical. It's not literal. So I will get into it. What I was feeling when I tapped into this full moon, as the moon is in Capricorn, it felt like super old, super ancient. I'm talking pre-modern vibes of traversing through emotion. Does that sound weird? It does. It gave me the vibe of staggering through a battlefield in a masculine sense. You're staggering through the battlefield, you're thinking about home. I'm sure soldiers, as they're staggering through, they think about home, they think about safety. That's what this moon feels like to me when I tap into it while it's in Capricorn. So I don't know if in the woo-woo circles that I'm secretly a part of, I'm like a closet woo-woo person. I don't talk to people about my spiritual beliefs. This is like super woo-woo. I embrace it. I'm not judging it. I used to judge myself for it. Anyway, in the woo-woo circles, you could call this feminine versus masculine. It's letting the masculine kind of take a hit in a healing sense. I'll explain that in a little bit. So, the masculine side of our consciousness, perhaps, even though this is the moon represents the feminine side, it's taken a hit and it's trying to deal with emotions. It's recognizing the rationality of emotions is what I was getting with this. Like a lot of us believe that the emotions are irrational, they don't make sense, they're not productive. Why do we want to deal with them? That's like the modern view. The modern view of emotions is like, I'm just going to shut this down so that I can be out here and be productive. But there's something about this full moon where it's almost the vibe of you have to recognize the rationality that is in the emotional depths. So maybe that's why I was getting this war imagery. It's like we've been battling the emotions maybe for all of time. Maybe that's why I'm getting the ancientness. I don't know if the collective has ever learned how to see the rationality in the emotions. Otherwise, I feel as though we wouldn't be where we are now, where everybody, not everybody, where so many people are listless and sad and we don't know why, right? I feel like part of this full moon is tapping into that in some way. Because we have Cancer, we have the sun in Cancer, and the sun lights up everything. The sun in Cancer is like, hey, look at this. Let's get some emotional clarity. Let's showcase the emotional capability. So I'm just going to go through. I want to make sure I don't lose the threads here today. So going back to the full moon as an opposition, the sun and the moon represent two halves of consciousness, of a whole consciousness. The sun is the outer experience we wish to cultivate. It's like, look at me, I'm doing this cool thing. The moon is who we are inside when nobody can see. You can't see through the exterior unless you have x-ray vision. The moon is about sort of the x-ray. So maybe, I don't know, what if this full moon is about taking an x-ray? What's in there? Anyway, so during a full moon, it's almost as though the superconscious, like, oh, what we're aware of, what we're seeing, and the subconscious or the unconscious are trying to integrate or culminate into something. So I'm trying to figure out if I missed anything from this battlefield. I might read my notes. I feel like I just brushed over a lot. I'm trying to remember I don't need to rush through this, even though we're at 9 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to read my notes because the writing really helps me get oriented. This is all of my own writing. An opposition is a need to balance and integrate the opposing planets. So for the sun and moon, we must reconcile the inner and outer selves. We must understand the duality of the emotional experience as it feeds into what we are becoming. Oh yeah, see, I brushed over it. So the full moon in Capricorn is needing to understand who we're becoming because of the emotional experience in some way. Another thing I got was facing the pain of privacy in some way, like the concept of suffering in silence, suffering in the privacy. especially as it connects to visibility being so strongly tied to self-worth nowadays. We're in a world where people want to be seen, and when they're not seen, it is detrimental to self-worth. But really what's happening is that privacy is cultivation. We need time in private and quiet to cultivate. Otherwise, everything is kind of fake without that. It's almost the imagery of what is a seed doing underground. You can't see a seed being cultivated underground. And I feel like in the world now, privacy is painful. So there's something here that I was getting about the pain of privacy and kind of moving through that to recognize that we are still becoming something even when nobody sees it. And I think that's also what Jupiter in Cancer is about. I'm glad I'm reading the notes because I would have just skipped that. Okay. Speaking of skipping, it's easy to only want to showcase the portions of ourselves, which is the sun. It's like what we choose to showcase. It's a choice. I keep getting lost. Oh my God. It's easy to only want to showcase the portions of ourselves that have already been forged in fire in privacy. So a lot of us work better in privacy or behind the scenes, but we still prefer showing the already forged parts of ourselves. Does that make sense? Like a lot of us are afraid to show what we're working on, especially if it's self-improvement. We hide ourselves until we're perfect or until we're better. So I think a lot of this full moon is possibly opening up to the unfinished stuff and not hiding that from ourselves as much, which is kind of cliche. Just be yourself, right? Hear it over and over again. Sometimes we want to skip the pain of privacy and externalize while postponing emotional clarity. When we look at the full moon in Capricorn, we can notice that Cancer's ruler is the moon, but the moon is contained in the sign that opposes its nature. So in what ways do emotions feel alien to us? That's what I was getting as well. That's a big one that I was feeling strongly, where sometimes we're so alienated from certain emotions. So that might arise during this full moon where it's like, where the heck is this coming from? This is alien to me. I don't know how to anchor this. And a lot of it could be stuck stuff, really old stuff. This moon feels super old. I don't know why. I'm just going with it. I don't know. So in what ways do emotions feel alien to us? What emotions do we feel are literally from another planet that are stirring within us? How are we not identifying with our own subconscious? One more line in my notes that I'm going to read, I think, maybe more, I don't know, it's helping. There's some videos I can do where I talk more off the cuff, and then there's other videos where I want to read the notes, so I apologize if it seems robotic. I think this is the crux of this full moon. It's the cultivation of home as a place to return from the battlefield, to hard-won nurturing and healing. So that's like when we have to retreat from the harshness of reality. Are we retreating to an even harsher reality? Like, how is our internal world set up to be a place of welcome and retreat? Because I've dealt with this in the past, just to be transparent. I like to share things about myself to help these insights kind of clarify more. I also just like to be open about myself. If I don't know if that's like egoic, but I've struggled with this in the past where my internal self was so much harsher than reality. So where did I have to go when I needed to retreat? That's the energy of this as well, this full moon. So think of the emotional landscape like the battlefield. In some ways, it's like layers of retreating. Okay. So maybe that's what this is, where if there's any place where our emotional cultivation feels like a battlefield, it might come up. Like, where are we wanting to retreat from harshness? And when we retreat, do we meet more harshness? I know that sounds weird. It's kind of, I don't want to say meta, but it's intriguingly layered. Okay. What sensitivities do we reject? This is a full moon for watching certain intuitions unfold and come true that have been circling around us. Because Cancer is tied to the intuition, and there's a lot of valuable intuitions that might get ignored because the external needs so much. The external is represented by Capricorn, and Capricorn is external effort, and that's why they're opposites. Capricorn is putting effort, energy, blood, and sweat into the external world as while detaching from the emotions to be able to do it. Cancer is cultivating the internal, the private, this not secret. Secret is Scorpio. Cancer is like, I understand the importance of privacy because there's certain things that are only real when they go through the subjective experience. So that is the dichotomy with this. Okay. So watch out for intuitions that maybe we've been ignoring that actually are legitimate. There's something here about processing harshness during conflict and doing many layers of reflection around the density of this. So, like rehashing certain conflict, whether that's emotionally connected to others, a lot about being vulnerable. Okay, I'm gonna keep reading. This energy feels like stumbling through a battlefield, knowing that something's on the line and feeling the fear of botching such an important mission. What is the mission this time? It feels like simply continuing on and surviving the minefield until we get to the next stage where things can calm down enough to where emotional process can occur. So after, if any of this is accurate, like I said, it's not going to be true for everybody. It manifests in subtle forms throughout whatever the heck is going on, right? For individuals. But it feels like processing the inner battlefield. You step on the landmines because you weren't really paying attention to the internal that much because there's so much stress on the external, and it's like, man, who am I going to be in an outside sense? So we detonate some landmines internally, but then after that, it's like the dust can settle and perhaps we can feel calm enough to be able to retreat when we need to. Like, that's what I'm working on for sure. It's accurate for me. So maybe it'll be accurate for others, where I'm cultivating an internal self that doesn't hate me. Just to be completely transparent, like, I've dealt with a lot of self-hatred in my life. So once again, when I needed to retreat into myself, it's like that was a harsher experience than certain harsh realities. So, harsh reality on the outside, harsh reality on the inside, time to review. Okay. When we face conflict, how do we nurture ourselves? Do we take people's insults to heart and build around them? Or do we try to really see some aspect of self-forgiveness? Because Capricorn is also about structure, examining structures to see if they're real. So what if a lot of what we're taking that's conflict from other people isn't even real. Like examining how things really affect us in certain ways. Okay, keep going. I forgot how much I wrote. We got Neptune joining in on this. He wants some of the action. Neptune felt kind of angry when I tapped into this. It's super weird. I always see Neptune as like the bleeding heart, constant forgiveness, endless forgiveness. Neptune always feels like the pushover, like, oh, I just love you no matter what kind of energy. But in this full moon, Neptune felt kind of angry. So another aspect of this that I was picking up is facing certain resentments, perhaps, facing how we've been treated unfairly by certain people, facing fear of aggression and fear of unpredictability in relationships. A lot of this felt relational, which is weird because there's no Libra going on. Libra is relationships, but I was still picking it up. So, okay, slight interruption. What was I saying? Oh, Neptune. Kind of felt angry when I tapped in to this, and it just feels like facing the ways we've let ourselves be. I don't want to say victims. The way we've let ourselves be impressed upon. It's it's like Neptune is bringing the fire of this should never have been mine. I didn't have to deal with this. And it's facing a lot of fear, like I was saying, about unpredictable relationships. Like I was feeling people who move too fast and lack consciousness, not consciousness, they lack a conscience. People who move too fast, they're aggressive, they lack a conscience. I think all of us has been in contact with people like this. So there's something here about dealing with those fears and dealing with fear of change in certain relationships could pop up as well. So Neptune is there bringing the fire of like, I don't want to be a victim anymore. I don't want to believe certain things about myself just because somebody made the impression or insinuated something. So it's overturning inner helplessness when it comes to the concept of justice. I kept getting justice, and I even pulled some cards yesterday about the energies for next week, including this full moon, and I got the justice card. So make of that what you will. Okay. A little bit more to read, and then I'm going to pull some cards. I have like 6 questions. I'm going to get through as many as I can. This is longer than I thought it would be. Okay. Neptune tells us it's sort of an emergency to get to the heart of sensitivities and intuition. I kept getting the word sensitivity. Like, what are we allergic to that we've taken in and it's like an autoimmune? This is all metaphor. An autoimmune type inflammation where we keep trying to heal the inflammation without eliminating the cause. In Aries, Neptune is telling us how to nurture ourselves through battle. When we face conflict, how do we nurture ourselves? This is again about like, why am I taking on conflict into myself coming from people's opinions, their insults, that kind of thing. Okay. And this is interesting. There's something here about processing harshness during conflict and doing many layers of reflection around the density of this. This is trying to understand people's styles of aggression in some way. perhaps looking at inherited, because that's Cancer energy. It's stuff that's inherited. Inherited patterns when it comes to aggression or violence. Neptune wants us to understand how we absorb harsh realities, and it wants us to tend to our wounds in some way, because Neptune is like the healer. Neptune in this instance also feels angry, which I got in the beginning and I thought it was strange. It was. Okay, last part, and then I'm going to get to the readings. Why does Neptune feel angry this time? Neptune wants the anger to be unleashed so that true accountability can take hold. Cancer represents all our sensitivities. It's almost childlike in how it references indiscriminately absorbing other people's anger, injustice, and aggression. Cancer during this full moon is highlighting the sensitivities we carry. Capricorn moon almost acts as emotional demolition in real time. We create through sensitivity and then we destroy during its application. What structures do we build around our sensitivities? And how can the unfiltered understanding of emotions that are formed in the chaos of sensitivity help cleanse the rawness from internal states? Where do we feel responsible for people's negative traits or emotions? That is the Saturn element to this. And I keep wanting to read the notes, man. I'm just going to do it. We've been using people's reactions to train ourselves in the enterprise of preparing for the worst. This aspect, which is Saturn being the dispositor of the moon. A dispositor is basically, how do I explain it? Oh gosh, I'm going to blank now. Dispositor, it's like a chain of rulers, sort of. So we have the moon in Capricorn. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, therefore Saturn is the moon's dispositor. Okay. So this is the vibe of feeling very responsible for unpredictability in others. When somebody blows up or something, we might ask ourselves what we did wrong. This tendency in general could pop up to be recognized. Okay, that's it. I want to get to the readings. I got 6 questions. Wow. I tried to declutter my desk today and I feel like I just disoriented myself. Okay, we're going to use the generic. This deck kind of makes me laugh. It's so generic, but I like it. It's called Tarot card. Tarot cards with meanings on them. No author, just tarot card. All right, we're going to use this knockoff. It's not a knockoff, but 6 questions. Feel free to pick which question you are interested in. You don't have to listen to all this. You don't have to listen to any of this, you know? If you're listening, thank you so much. I can't even believe you're here at over 30 minutes now. Here's the questions. You can obviously listen to more than one if they interest you. Question 1, how can I cleanse numbness? Because that's what this moon is about, realizing where we don't even feel stuff to some extent. Question 2, what things in my emotional world currently need acknowledgement or nurturing? Okay. Question 3, what toxicity is currently being released from me? Question 4, in what way do I take on others' negativity that I can release now? Question 5, what coping mechanisms are outdated that I'm still playing out? Hi, I realized I forgot to do question 6, and I'm really sorry. I totally just forgot to do it. So if anybody's wondering why there's no question 6, that's why. I will get better about not spacing out and forgetting stuff. Okay. Thank you for watching. See you on the other side of this video, perhaps. Have a good day. I'm gonna shuffle this. I feel like this is gonna be too much. I'm gonna get through as many as I can, and then maybe I'll do a part 2. I don't know. Question 1. How can I cleanse numbness? Like, how can you release yourself from the tendency to not want to feel, which we all have? It's not like a judgment thing. We have Knight of Cups reversed. Wow. Understanding that emotions can move you forward. Understanding that emotions don't block your intuition. I feel as though perhaps somebody watching this almost feels like their intuition is blocked if they feel too much. This gives me the vibe of emotions being a vehicle for progress, which is what this full moon is about. Understanding that the emotional experience is rational in itself. So there's a fear of intuition being blocked. Maybe intuitively you have a very strong, like, permeable intuition that feels like it's bringing too much in. So how to release numbness? It's understanding that emotions can help you move forward. You're not lost. There's this fear of getting lost if you go down certain rabbit holes, because the Knights to me are often about navigation. And Knight of Pentacles, or not Pentacles, wow. Knight of Cups reversed, it's like fear of totally getting lost. Like, if I feel this, I'm not going to know who I am anymore. I'm not going to know where I'm going. There's a part of me that feels alien. It's that kind of energy of feeling as though you can't feel things at your full strength because you have the ability to feel so strongly. You feel as though perhaps you can't feel things and stay connected to purpose. But they're saying sometimes the point is to go through these, what's the word? Ethereal rabbit holes. Okay. Question 2. What things in my emotional world currently need acknowledgement or nurturing? The sun. The happy place. Wow, focusing on the happy place and focusing on life force is what this feels like. So maybe this is something I resonate with, where, like, happier emotions, why do you have to cultivate them? When you're happy, you're just happy. But there's something here about cementing happiness in some way, maybe expressing something that's going to live on. You know what I mean? Past the moment. So finding ways to give gravity to happiness to where it becomes more real instead of fleeting. That's really cool. So you're ready to channel your happiness in some way, or excitement or optimism, into something that has more weight to it. So maybe there's this again, this fear that emotions have too much weight. They're basically saying there's certain things in your emotional field that deserve to have weight, and you're not going to get weighed down too much, if that's the fear. All right, question 3. What toxicity is currently being released from you? The Hangman. Indecision. Waiting around for perspectives to change. What I'm picking up from these is a lot of fear around shape-shifting perspectives. I don't know if sometimes you feel you've gotten carried away to where when your perspective changes on something, you feel kind of lost. It goes right back to this Knight of Cups reversed. There's a fear of not having an open mind. There's a fear of shifting too much, leaving a certain perspective. There's a fear of leaving something alone. Hanged Man, it's about suspension, though. It's about looking at something completely differently. So what if this something that's popping in? What if this is also about your spiritual perspective, where you've maybe had an awakening, quote unquote, in the past, and you're like, okay, I'm done now. I don't have to open up anymore. There's a fear of opening up to the intangible because it's like floodgates sort of thing. But these are showing you might have some more opening up to do. And the sun, it's like, let the light in and give it some anchoring. Okay. Question 4. In what way do you take on others' negativity that you can release now? 4 of Pentacles. Wow. I don't know if there's perspectives you rely on to be like, okay, this is what's true. I can work around this. Taking on negativity from others, you feel almost like you can keep doing it to an extent. 4 of Pentacles. It's like, gosh, this is throwing me off here. Saving money, conservation. Oh, this is possibly a fear that if you let go of certain burdens people have given you, then you'll wobble. It's this again. It keeps going back to this. There's something here where perhaps you have become the reliable one that can hold on to people's problems, or you can help them feel secure. So I don't know if with this Hanged Man, where it's showing you might be ready for another layer to open up in your, it just feels like a big consciousness shift, like the next level. I don't know if part of you is afraid of losing security if you follow this, where people will feel insecure. It's like worried about other people feeling insecure. So that's interesting. Now, I don't know what this imagery is, but I'm seeing, it's like fleeting. Hold on. I see someone building this like little dollhouse or something, and other people love this dollhouse and they want to play with it every day. But there's something about the dollhouse that kind of disintegrates if it's not tended to. I know this is weird, just hear me out. You're the one that sneaks in at night and keeps maintaining the dollhouse so that everybody can play with it. It's really interesting, and it sounds insane, but that's what I feel like. You're tending to people where they feel wobbly so that you can maintain comfort as the cornerstone in certain relationships. Does that make sense? It's like, I'm always the one to take care of this so that people don't have to feel wobbly, but it's like bouncing back onto you, possibly, where you're afraid to open up more and you feel wobbly. All right. Question 5. What coping mechanisms are outdated that I'm still playing out, that you're still playing out? Sorry. What coping mechanisms are outdated that you're still playing out? Let's see. 5 of Cups reversed. This is very sweet energy. It's like you don't have to feel sad. I see you tending to people so that they don't feel sad or insecure or worried. Here's you again. Like, don't worry, I got this. Oh, give me another problem. I got it. I'll hold on to it. I'll hold on tight. But if this is a method for coping, they're showing that people are not evolving if you're protecting them. People can't evolve if they're perfectly protected, and neither can you, because we have the Hanged Man. It's like, I'm ready to see so much more. I'm ready to completely flip things in terms of observations, things to learn, understandings. I feel like at your core, you're extremely open-minded, like more so than a lot of people would be. But there's also a lot of responsibility that comes with that. So I'm going to get some clarifiers. I want a little more depth with this. Oh, look, the moon at the bottom. Wow, is that dirt on my nail? Probably. I don't know what that is. Oh, whatever. I don't take care of my fingernails, but here. It's the moon. Wow. The sun and the moon. Okay, let's get clarifiers. I think the coffee is kicking in, which is goddamn, thank you. Thank you, God. Okay. I'm just noticing we have Neptune here, which is, wow, definitely involved in the full moon. And we have Capricorn here as well. Okay, anyway. Seven of Cups reverse flew out. Time to get real. Okay. Just an aside, you know. All right, let's clarify the Knight of Cups reversed. Seven of Swords reversed. Things being revealed. Being afraid to show your method in an emotional sense. Like wanting to be hard to read. Again, we got this Knight of Cups. This is like being afraid to be easier to read. Like you don't want people to have access to your emotional mechanisms. What else we got? Three of Wands. Planning. This feels like being more open in the past, somehow leading to a need to guard expansion, needing to guard your expansion. So now it's like, well, I better be harder to read because opening up makes you feel more closed in, maybe. Maybe in the past, you didn't have enough people who let you expand emotionally. So now it's like, I better not open up so much because if every time I open up, it's like a fist clenching. We have, yeah, Three of Cups reversed. Friends or people we tried to connect with emotionally. There's something here about feeling a sense of tension, or what's the opposite of expansion? Oh my God. I don't know, like failure to expand the more you open up. And they're saying it's time to kind of change this because it's contributing to numbness. Okay. And the Sun is clarified by the Queen of Swords reversed. Yeah, anchoring with the intellect. Happiness. Like even just writing down, this is so cheesy, writing down your visions of what would make you happy or excited, giving it a tangible form, giving it more weight, and it will lead to being able to see clearly. So I don't know if you're like a writer or somebody who likes to commemorate things. That's what that feels like. Like you're the one who likes to commemorate stuff. That's very Cancerian as well. Like, oh, I'll take the pictures. I will write about this so that we don't forget. Cool. Yeah, Eight of Wands reversed. Maybe you stop doing this for people. Oh, You stop taking pictures, maybe. Maybe start taking pictures again. I don't know. That's what I'm feeling. Death reverse, so we don't forget. Maybe you felt as though there hasn't been something you wanted to remember for a while. And this is saying it's not true. There's something good to remember, and it's a message to start commemorating it. Write it down, take pictures, make songs, stuff like that. That's really cool. Hanged Man. Hermit reversed. You got so much to learn. You're not at capacity when it comes to a spiritual perspective. And there's so much in the linear world that's tugging on you to where it's like, if I go down this rabbit hole, it feels like an awakening kind of thing. Will I change too much? Six of Wands, being seen for wisdom. There's certain perspectives that are ready to open up that will give you some kind of favorable, I don't want to say reputation, but it's like the fanfare. Five of Cups reversed. You don't have to be, it's a new version of you don't have to be sad. So there's some wisdom here where you can transform this possible coping mechanism of you don't need to be sad, like trying to prevent people from being sad. There's some wisdom here where you can transform that in a way that doesn't prevent people from evolving. Not that you're solely preventing people from evolving, but it's like a protectiveness that's ready to be transformed, like understanding there's wisdom in sadness in some way. Okay. Four of Pentacles clarified by the Queen of Pentacles. Dang. Yeah, people got it. They can take care of themselves more than you would think. You don't have to be the only one rooted in certain realities and relationships. That's what this feels like. I feel as though in all relationships between two or more people, whatever, there's multiple realities, and it feels like you're trying to be at the root of them all. And you're like, I'll just hold on to this for you, you know? You don't have to worry about this. It's not going to be me as the reason that you're worried. I got this. And then Page of Pentacles reversed. People needing to learn lessons. Practicality. Maybe there's people around you that are just not practical and it's frustrating. I don't know. Justice. Wow. Is it? Or is it the Empress? These are in another language. I think that's the Empress. Yeah. It's like being meant to nurture people, but the way you're doing it is taking on too much. Having everything make sense for everybody. Okay, last one, Five of Cups reversed. 10 of Wands reversed. The burden, releasing the burden of you don't need to be sad. You can't save everybody from sadness. Five of Pentacles reversed, they will find their way. Whoever you're worried about, you might be worried that certain people are lost, which is a projection of being afraid of being lost yourself, possibly. They'll find their way. Yep, it's a new form of faith. And then Five of Swords reversed, it doesn't have to be a fight. It's not like you're being harsh if you tell certain people they're on their own in certain respects. So I'm going to end this here. I can't believe I made it through all 6 questions. I hope it resonates for somebody out there. I don't know. Yeah, I'll be back with more videos. I'm going to be doing more standalone stuff this week. So, all right. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you and your time. Time is valuable. And if you're still here, you spent it on me. So thank you very much. All right. I'll see you later. Happy full moon. Bye.